Thanks for listening to Leadership Level Up. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Williamson, and whether you are just starting your leadership journey or have led others for decades, this podcast aims to shine a spotlight on those who lead others and share their guiding principles that have made them great leaders. Welcome to Leadership Level Up. I'm your host, Jeff Williamson. It's good to have you with us as we talk leadership with a variety of different leaders. And today we have my friend Jakob Knox with us, who is well, you really have two roles. You do a lot. You're the CEO of the Manteno Chamber of Commerce and simultaneously the marketing director for the Village of Manteno. They're kind of folded together, which makes a lot of sense.
It works beautifully.
It does.
Most days.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, Jakob, you've been in that role year and a half, coming up on 2 years.
We're at that 2-year mark now.
Yeah, I was trying to think back when you first started because we rode. I rode shotgun with you. Quite a bit of that. We'll talk about that. So So welcome to the show.
Thank you
I've
for
been
having
looking.
me.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to have you. Anybody that's listened at all or paid attention, I loved talking with emerging leaders, and you're sure one of those.
Thank you.
So we have a variety of different people, whether it's our conference or on the podcast, that they're half my age, and I love it because I'm still learning, and I love that you're in the roles that you are and leading so many events and initiatives for the businesses in your community, that kind of thing. So, thanks for coming. Tell us a little bit about your professional journey to this point and how you landed at the Village of Manteno leading the chamber.
Absolutely. So I'll take it way back to my first job at 16. I worked at the Bourbonnais Township Park District for probably about 5 years.
Wow.
Kind of going to the different facilities and being kind of like that hand there, helping with the different buildings, different events that they had. So I think that's where I really got my first taste of community and being a part of something. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I graduated high school in 2017, went to KCC and pursued my degree there. And then I landed my first job at Milner Media. And I was there for about 2.5, 3 years as a marketing and sales consultant. So kind of doing radio ads and different marketing campaigns for different businesses, non-for-profits, and different community events. And while I was there, I kind of fell into the chamber life and fell in love with chamber and everything that it did for the community and what it offered. And fast forward now, here I am in the role. And I love it. I love it.
And I think the first time we actually met and talked in person was at a Manteno Chamber event when you were still with Milner Media.
It was at a Christmas party or something, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I just remember we had connected on LinkedIn, which happens a lot. And I came checking the event. I looked at him and went, I think that's that Jakob Knox guy that I connected with on LinkedIn from Mill. And so sure enough, it was. And so, yeah. So in your previous role, I think you had a variety of times where you were in those kind of community events besides your earlier work with the Park District. So you've just been kind of a community guy from way back.
Since 16 years old, I guess.
How about that? I love that. See, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
If I did, I've forgotten.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I definitely, like I said, that's where I found that's where I got that first taste of community and just being a part of something, and been doing it ever since.
Yeah. And it seems like such a natural, we're both kind of people persons, as we've been told more than once, but where you're so embedded in the community with your work as well as your heart, right? Of the wanting to make the lives better for the businesses you serve, for the community you serve, those kinds of things. Love that for sure. And now you get to lead an organization that you've been a part of in a different way before you worked there. So you mentioned starting with the Park District when you were 16. So I always enjoy hearing people talk a little bit about what were some early leadership lessons, maybe even from that work and the things that you did leading up to your full-time professional career that you watched, you listened and learned and thought, that's how I want to do it whenever I'm in charge of an organization or a team or whatever. What were some of those early reflections?
Yeah, so kind of thinking back about it, my biggest thing was, I mean, the first thing I think of was the mentors that I had there and kind of learning from them, you know, that was my biggest thing. And just kind of seeing the structure of how that entity operated. Park districts to healthcare are completely different things, you know, and I mean, just having that interest of how it operated and the amount of people that it took, right, to get those things done from those different departments to the before school, after school care providers to everything in between. I mean, that fascinated me, oddly enough. And I mean, I had that want to learn more about it and just kind of not necessarily pick it apart, but just kind of saw all the moving parts. You know? I mean,
that
really,
behind the scene, granular detail kinds of things. Like knowing you now, I mean, your brain goes to those details and those granular things to start going, oh, we could do this and this and this and this. And it sounds like that was stirred in you even as a high school kid from Herscher, Illinois. Herscher High School. Yeah. We've had a lot of fun talking about those growing up years. And so some of those early mentors and people that you got to see kind of, oh, this is the behind the scenes. These are some of the systems or the processes that have to take place so that these events look easy and smooth and well executed. But you know, behind the scenes in a bigger way now, how much goes into that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So when you started doing some of those things, even a high schooler and then a college student, I think you started to see like, wow, there's people that support these, volunteer, love a certain event. So that particular one, they always help out. Yeah. And I think that's been a big help as you've taken on the role at the Manteno Chamber in the Village of Manteno in the marketing role is the powerful impact and necessity even of community volunteers, community business leaders, business owners that say, yeah, I can show up and help you set up tables for the festival.
Yeah. The community behind all of those things too, I think is something that's always like interested me, you know, the different communities that are a part of these different things that make the county and make our community, you know, continue to move on and push them forward. You know, that's always been something that's been of high interest to me. But yeah, I mean, I love kind of finding and identifying those different communities there that can help and that want to be of service and all different parameters and working with them and finding those ways to work with them.
Yeah. And it really feels like community when a lot of people, if they don't know a lot about chambers of commerce, there's often 2 or 3 people that work at that office, right? Yep. And they might think, oh, they probably have 8 or 10 because they do so much. Not often. Now, some places do in bigger communities, but you know, you have a team of 2.
Yep, and it's myself and Kathleen there.
That's right. And then sometimes interns, sometimes summer part-timers. But as far as people who like, this is your work, it's a small team. And that's the case in our county too. And other chambers, it's just a couple of 3 people and some interns. So they're really reliant on their board and the volunteers who just love that community as much as you do, that say, yeah, I'll show up for that. Yes, I can do that. Sure, I'll sponsor that. Glad to be a part of the whole experience for our community.
Absolutely.
I love that. I often say it, that people will say, did you grow up here? I mean, no, but I've spent half of my I mean, I grew up in Southern Indiana and I spent 18 years there before I came to school in Illinois. And now I've been in this community as long as my growing up home, total, my college years and my professional life. So people just think, oh, you must have grown up here because you seem like you love this community. I'm like, well, I do.
You did kind of grow up here.
I did. You know? I grew up here for 4 years and then I grew up a lot other places, and now I'm here still growing up. So yeah, that sense of community, I often say to people, I love my community. And that's not just it's Manteno and St. Anne and Kankakee and Bourbonnais and on and on. You know, there's great towns in our area. I love that sense of we.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you've seen that in your role with the chamber in the last couple of years since you started there.
Yeah. And one thing I think that I took for granted before I was in this role is the power our community has working together. We're so fortunate to have all these different municipalities like always coming together to help each other out, to, you know, let someone borrow something or, hey, can you help us out here? We need some additional support there. That's not that's not a common thing.
No.
You know, and I mean, that was the lesson that I learned pretty quick was, holy cow, how fortunate we are to have all these municipalities in here for the greater good, wanting to help each other out and wanting to make this Kankakee County a greater place, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think we were both at an event last night and they were honoring different businesses and nonprofits. And one of the people that was receiving award and talking about how much they appreciated this community said something to the effect of, when I'm outside of our area and I go to conferences and at other, statewide meetings, people don't believe me when I tell them how much our community engages, how much our community embraces all these different things. And it's not just one thing or two things. It's this widespread interest in agencies and support services and communities and business groups and healthcare and all that.
Everything.
It is. And we have, you mentioned KCC where you went to school. We have the benefit of having Kankakee Community College here, and 10 minutes away we have Olivet Nazarene University. And that is a very collaborative, positive thing. I often talk to Dr. Boyd and say, our friends at KCC, right? Our friends at Olivet. And it just helps to reinforce that idea that all of us is better than any of us.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Me too.
So a big part of your role has been events, not just one big one in the fall, but many, many events. And that's kind of the norm with chambers of commerce, is holding events, bringing people together. And so you do a ton of those during the year. Talk a little bit about that. Ribbon cuttings, new businesses, reopenings, some of those things. And then we'll get to talking to Oktoberfest.
So that's probably the best part of the job in my eyes, is just being a part of those big moments for those businesses and for those not-for-profits to celebrate, to also be there to, rely on for support. I always say from Easter to Christmas, I am a constant, with
It's
events.
Not much in between there, man.
A couple months maybe, but I love it. I eat it up, but I mean, it takes the community to put them on, we start with our Easter egg dash, being with the Village. We do summer concert series, movies in the parks. Of course, with Chamber, we love a good business before and after hours, the ribbon cutting celebrations, lunch and learns with different organizations. And then, of course, the beloved Oktoberfest, which is our biggest event that the Chamber puts on. And not many people actually really realize that that's an event put on by the Chamber of Commerce.
Right,
so
right.
We take great pride in that. Last year was our 26th year doing it. So we're already planning for our 27th year.
Right.
And it's just a great way to, like we said, just to bring community together and just to have them all in one space, enjoying each other, enjoying the businesses and the vendors and the carnival and the parades, I mean, there's just something about it, or it's just like, God, it feels like magic, I mean, being able to put it on, and I mean, it's all the stress that goes into it, but I mean, the payoff is there when you see the smiling faces and you see the people enjoy it. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we moved here to the area in 2010, we heard about Oktoberfest. I mean, we didn't even know what it was, and we didn't even live in Manteno at that time. Yeah. We were in the Bourbonnais area, and then our kids were coming up through school age, and we ended up landing in the Manteno School District, and that's when we started hearing like, "Oh, you going to Oktoberfest?" I'm like, what is I've heard the word, in a lot of different applications, but then when our kids got involved in the school and, like you said, parades and fun and music and all kinds of cool things, it's just like, the county fairs on our main street for a week every year. It feels that way. Yeah. So what are some of the things, as you think about, this was your second one that you were leading the Oktoberfest. And, last year, the new time through any major event like that is challenging. It's got to be stressful. And so you look back now and go, okay, I got my first year out of the way. Then we had this second one, which was, from all accounts, really successful. What are some things you learned from the starting point where you're like, oh boy, I've got a tiger by the tail with this event that someone has done, some team has done before me, to where now you're at? What are some lessons learned along the way?
The biggest one I would say was collaboration, finding those people that could help continue to bring the event to life, because I am just one person, but it's identifying those people that have the same interest, vested interest, that have attended this event for years since they were kids, and having them be a part of it. I'd say that was number one. We've got such a great committee there, from our street and food vendor coordinators to the gentleman that oversees the parade, to our maintenance and grounds crew. I mean, it takes a community to put it on. And part of that too is just being able to trust them, that they know that what they're doing. Can we redo that?
Sure.
So just trusting the team that, you've established, that they'll fulfill it and that they'll carry it on and continue to bring it to that next level. That's probably been the biggest lesson that I've learned, is just the ability to give, to give them that responsibility.
Yeah. And an easy thing, and I think you've learned this for sure, the easy thing to forget when we're doing a big event or a big production kind of thing like that is we can forget a couple things. One, it's not really about me. Even though I'm in charge, it's not about me. And I don't have to be in charge of everything, because I'll drive people away and drive them crazy if I try to be, the hawk in the sky control freak. That's what makes people want to leave an organization or leave a volunteer team. But when they're like, hey, I've done the parade for this many years and I love that more than anything else, can I keep doing that? And you're like, absolutely. Yeah. What's your vision for it?
Right.
So then I often say I get to be the conductor of the orchestra rather than trying to play all the instruments simultaneously, because that doesn't work at all. Yeah.
There's something about it too, when you give people that freedom of that responsibility and that ownership to fully see them take that and drive it to the next level and, make it a success. I mean, there's a feeling of just proudness that you have. Yeah. But I mean, I think also for those people too, they have that feeling of, wow, they believed in me,
trusted me.
They felt that I could do it. So,
and I think you had some of that too, when the board extended an offer for you to become the CEO of the chamber. It was like, okay, they think I can do this, so let's go.
Yep.
Right?
For sure.
Those days where we wonder, we're like, well, that group of 10, 12 people decided I was up to the task, so maybe I am. And I think that's some of the things we learn along the way as leaders and emerging leaders, for sure. For sure. So as far as the numbers related to Oktoberfest, do you have a ball? I mean, I'm guessing. I shouldn't say I'm sure. I'm guessing you have ballpark to say, well, we think we had between this many people and this many people this year. What would that look like? I don't know if people realize.
Yeah, it's very timely that you said that. I just had a meeting with an analytics company today just to kind of get some tracking and some numbers, and we estimated about 21,000 people over the course of that 4 days there.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, very proud of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's almost, it's more than twice the size of the community of Manteno, which tells you it is attractive and it draws people from other communities, which is good for Manteno business, which is good for Kankakee County business. And so, that's a big win to have that kind of turnout for an event like that. Yeah. Well, one more question before I let you go. One of the things that I love to ask people who are a few years down the road in their career, when you came out of college and you were just kind of figuring some things out, what advice would today, in 2024, Jacob, give to younger, starting my career Jacob? What would be some things you'd say, hey, I realize this now, so do this, don't do that. What would some of those things be?
It's a loaded question there.
It is,
I go with the flow. I would love to tell myself that. Just go with the flow. It's okay that you don't know everything. You're not supposed to. But then, just be sure to fall back on those people that do know what to do, that can help take you to that next level. That'd be my biggest thing I can say.
And it goes back to collaboration that you mentioned earlier. It was rely on other people. Heard you say trust them, let them do the things that they do well, and and it's going to go fine.
Yeah, it will, one way or another.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It comes and it goes, and it's okay, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for
We're
having
looking
me.
forward to chatting with you, and we'll have you back another time and continue the conversation here on Leadership Level Up. Thanks for joining us. Hope you'll keep tuning in. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Leadership Level Up. Please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations with great leaders. If you would like to learn more about executive coaching and team development, please go to convergegroup.io for more information.